The 1930s, a time of turmoil and uncertainty across the globe. The shadow of war loomed large. Military minds, they knew things were changing. The old ways of fighting, they wouldn't cut it anymore. The world needed something new, something powerful, something game-changing. See, back then, air power was in its infancy. Biplanes, they ruled the skies, but their limitations were plain to see. They were slow, cumbersome, and couldn't carry enough firepower. The world needed a new breed of warplane, one that could strike with speed, precision, and devastating force. Enter the era of the bomber. Engineers and designers, they put their heads together. They envisioned aircraft that could carry heavy bomb loads over long distances, striking deep into enemy territory. These bombers, they would become a decisive factor in the coming conflict, and none more so than the B-25 Mitchell. Now, the B-25 Mitchell, it wasn't just another bomber, it was a workhorse, a game changer, a legend in the making. Named after General Billy Mitchell, a pioneer of military aviation, the B-25 represented a bold leap forward in aircraft design. Picture this, a sleek twin-engine bomber bristling with machine guns capable of carrying a ton of bombs. It was faster than its predecessors, more maneuverable, and possessed a longer range. The B-25 was a thing of beauty, a testament to American ingenuity and manufacturing prowess. But it wasn't just about looks, no sir. The B-25 was built for war, tough as nails and ready to rumble. It could take a punch, deliver a knockout blow, and come back for more. Pilots, they loved it. Ground crews, they swore by it. The B-25 Mitchell was quickly becoming a favorite. December 7th, 1941, a date that will live in infamy. The Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor plunged the United States headfirst into the war. The nation was reeling, but the spirit of the American people, it wouldn't be broken. And the B-25 Mitchell, it was ready to answer the call. The B-25S, they were deployed to the Pacific Theater, Europe, North Africa, even the Aleutian Islands. They flew in every theater of the war, proving their mettle in the crucible of combat. From bombing raids on enemy installations to strafing runs against enemy troops, the B-25 was a versatile and deadly weapon in the hands of skilled aircrews. But it was in the Pacific where the B-25 would truly make its mark, cementing its place in military history. The vast distances of the Pacific Theater, they posed a challenge for conventional bombing raids. The B-25, with its range and payload, it was the perfect tool for the job. The stage was set for one of the most daring and audacious air raids in history. The Pacific Theater, it was a different kind of beast. Vast stretches of ocean, dotted with islands, each one a fortress. The Japanese, they had dug in deep, figuring those islands were their shield. But the B-25, it had a way of changing the equation. See, the B-25, it wasn't designed for carrier takeoffs. It was a land-based bomber meant to operate from long runways. But necessity, it's the mother of invention, they say. The Navy, they needed a bomber that could reach out and touch the enemy in the Pacific, and the B-25, it fit the bill. So they modified those B-25S, stripped them down, made them lighter, gave them more fuel. And then they put those bombers on aircraft carriers, something nobody thought could be done. The pilots, they were a special breed, taking off from those short decks, knowing they had little room for error. Section 2, island hopping, striking from the skies with the B-25. The Pacific War, it was all about island hopping. The Allies, they'd capture one island, then use it as a base to attack the next. And the B-25, it played a pivotal role in that strategy. It could hit enemy airfields, supply depots, troop concentrations, anything they needed to soften up those island defenses. The B-25, it was a fearsome sight for those Japanese soldiers hunkered down in their bunkers. They called it the flying cigar because of its distinctive shape. And when they heard that roar of those twin engines, they knew they were in for a world of hurt. The B-25 crews, they were a breed apart. They flew long, dangerous missions, often in terrible weather. They faced fierce anti-aircraft fire and swarms of enemy fighters, but they kept coming back, mission after mission, pounding the enemy into submission. Section 3, a seaplane in disguise, the B-25's amphibious alter ego. Now, you wouldn't think a bomber could be versatile, right? But the B-25, it surprised everyone. They even made a seaplane version of it. Can you believe that? They called it the PBJ Mitchell. See, in the Pacific, there weren't always airfields available. Sometimes you had to make do with what you had. So they took those B-25s, fitted them with pontoons, and turned them into seaplanes. They could operate from water just like that. These PBJ Mitchells, they were a godsend in the Pacific. They could patrol vast stretches of ocean looking for enemy ships and submarines. They could rescue downed pilots, deliver supplies to isolated outposts, even conduct bombing raids on enemy positions. The B-25 Mitchell, it was more than just a bomber. It was a symbol of American ingenuity, adaptability, and sheer determination. It could do it all, and it did it all with flying colors. Section 1. A daring plan takes shape, the genesis of the Doolittle Raid. Now, after Pearl Harbor, the mood, it was grim. The Japanese, they thought they dealt us a knockout blow, but America, we don't back down so easy. We needed a way to hit back, to show them we wouldn't be intimidated, and that's where the Doolittle Raid comes in. See, a fella by the name of Jimmy Doolittle, a real maverick, he had this crazy idea. What if, he thought, we could take some B-25s, load them up with bombs, and launch them off an aircraft carrier? Now, nobody had ever done that before. It was risky, dangerous, maybe even a little bit crazy, but it just might work. The plan, it was audacious to say the least. They'd take 16 B-25s, modify them for the mission, strip them down to the bare essentials, give them extra fuel tanks. Then, they'd sneak those bombers onto an aircraft carrier, the USS Hornet, and sail west under the cover of darkness. Section 2. Training in secret, preparing for the unthinkable. Now, this mission, it called for the best of the best. Doolittle, he handpicked his men, volunteer crews, each one of them raring to go. They knew the risks, but they didn't hesitate. They were patriots, every one of them, ready to lay it all on the line for their country. They trained in secret, down in Florida, practicing short takeoffs, low-level bombing, anything they might face on the mission. They practiced day and night, pushing themselves and those B-25s to the limit. They knew this wasn't just another training exercise. This was the real deal. The pressure, it was immense. They were going up against the heart of the Japanese Empire, a suicide mission, some folks called it. But those boys, they never lost their nerve. They were focused, determined, ready to show the world what American spirit was all about. April 18th, 1942, the USS Hornet, it was sailing deep in the Pacific, closer to Japan than any American ship had dared to venture since Pearl Harbor. The tension, it was thick enough to cut with a knife. The Doolittle Raiders, they climbed into their B-25s, their hearts pounding in their chests. The signal was given, and one by one, those 16 B-25s, they roared down the deck of the Hornet, taking to the skies. The roar of those engines, it was deafening, a symphony of defiance against the Japanese Empire. The Doolittle Raid, it was on. Now they weren't expecting to land back on the carrier. Oh no, this was a one-way trip. Their plan was to bomb their targets in Japan, then fly on to China, hoping to land at friendly airfields. It was a long shot, but they were determined to give it their all. Section 4. Retribution delivered, the aftermath and impact of the raid. Those B-25s, they flew low under the radar, dodging enemy fighters and anti-aircraft fire, and then they hit their targets. Tokyo, Yokohama, Nagoya, Osaka. Bombs rained down on military installations, factories, even the outskirts of the Imperial Palace. The damage, it wasn't extensive, but the psychological impact, it was immeasurable. The Japanese, they were caught completely off guard. They thought their homeland was invulnerable, but the Doolittle Raid, it shattered that illusion. The raid, it showed the Japanese people that the war, it wasn't so far away after all. And it showed the world that America, we were down but not out. We were still in the fight and we were coming for them. Now most of those B-25s, they didn't make it to China. They ran out of fuel, crashed in the sea, or were forced to ditch. But the crews, many of them, they survived. Rescued by Chinese civilians who risked their own lives to help those American airmen. The Doolittle Raid, it was a testament to the courage, not just of those American flyers, but of the Chinese people who stood with them. Now, folks might talk about the Doolittle Raid, and don't get me wrong, it was a heck of a thing, but the B-25's success, it wasn't just about one mission. No sir, this airplane, it was a marvel of engineering ahead of its time in so many ways. See, back then, airplanes, they were still kind of newfangled, but the B-25, it was built for performance. It had this streamlined design, reduced drag, helped it fly faster, farther, and those wings, they were something else, long and slender, gave it that graceful lift, even with a belly full of bombs. And inside, well, it was a pilot's dream. Instruments laid out clear, controls responsive, visibility from the cockpit top-notch. Pilots, they felt at one with the B-25 like an extension of themselves, made them confident, even in the thick of it. Now, under the hood, or should I say under the wings, the B-25, it packed a punch. 2 powerful radial engines, each one a masterpiece of machinery. 14 cylinders apiece, churning out over 1,800 horsepower. That's right, this bird, it could really move. Those engines, they gave the B-25 a top speed of over 300 miles per hour. That might not sound like much these days, but back then, it was smoking. Faster than most fighters it was. Meant the B-25 could get in, do its business, and get out before the enemy knew what hit them. And it wasn't just about speed. Those engines, they were reliable too. Could take a licking and keep on ticking. That mattered out there, over enemy territory, when you couldn't afford an engine failure. The B-25, it rarely let its crews down. Now, the B-25, it wasn't just about offense. No, sir. This bomber, it could take care of itself in a fight. They bristled with machine guns. Those B-25s did. Up to 14 of them, strategically placed to cover every angle. They had these power turrets, top, bottom, tail, even the sides. Each turret, it packed a pair of .50 caliber machine guns. Nothing like them for tearing through enemy fighters. Those gunners, they were the unsung heroes, protecting their crews from attack. And the B-25, it had this one trick up its sleeve, something special. They called it the 75mm cannon. That's right, a cannon on a bomber. Mounted right in the nose it was, could fire these high explosive shells. Packed a real wallop it did, enough to discourage even the most determined enemy fighter. Section 4, Adaptable Arsenal bombs away with the B-25. Now, let's talk about bombs, because that's what bombers do best, right? And the B-25, it could carry a heck of a lot of them, up to 3,000 pounds of bombs. It could haul, more than enough to make a mess of any target. They could carry all sorts of bombs, those B-25s, high explosive bombs, incendiary bombs, fragmentation bombs, you name it. And they could drop them from high altitude, or they could swoop down low and deliver a precision strike. And here's the thing about the B-25, it was adaptable. They even developed a version with the torpedo bomber. That's right, they took this bomber and they turned it into a ship killer. Now that's versatility. The B-25 Mitchell, it was more than just a bomber. It was a symbol of American ingenuity, a testament to the skill and dedication of the men and women who designed, built, and flew it. Section 1. A legacy forged in fire, the enduring impact of the B-25. Now, when the smoke cleared and the guns fell silent, the B-25 Mitchell, it stood as a symbol of victory, a testament to American might and ingenuity. It hadn't won the war single-handedly, mind you, but it had played a crucial role, no doubt about that. See, the B-25, it proved that air power. It was a game changer. It could strike deep behind enemy lines, disrupt supply chains, cripple their industry, even sap their morale. The B-25, it showed the world what strategic bombing could do. And it wasn't just about bombs, no sir. The B-25, it was a versatile weapon. It could support ground troops, conduct reconnaissance, even rescue downed pilots. It was a true multi-role aircraft ahead of its time. Section 2, Beyond the Battlefield, the B-25's peacetime service. Now, after the war, most of those B-25ES, they were retired, their job done. But some of them, they stuck around, found new purpose in peacetime. They fought forest fires, sprayed crops, even helped map remote areas. Talk about a hard-working airplane. And you know what else? Some of those B-25s, they ended up in Hollywood. Yeah, that's right. They starred in movies, those B-25s did. Most famous one got to be 30 Seconds Over Tokyo, told the story of the Doolittle Raid. Those B-25s, they were movie stars. The B-25, it wasn't just a war machine, it was a symbol of American resilience, adaptability, our can-do spirit. We took this airplane, built for war, and we found ways to use it for good, to make the world a better place. Section 3. A salute to the Mitchell, remembering a legend. Today, those B-25s, they're museum pieces, reminders of a bygone era. But their legacy, it lives on. Every time you see a sleek twin-engine bomber, think of the B-25 Mitchell. Think of the men and women who designed it, built it, flew it, and fought for our freedom. The B-25 Mitchell, it wasn't just an airplane. It was a symbol of American spirit, a testament to our ingenuity, our courage, our unwavering determination to defend freedom no matter the cost. And that, my friends, is a story worth telling.